a smile, please.
Oh, good.
So I'm fine. You get Athena to dance. It's amazing.
One this way, please. And one more this way, please. Very nice.
So it's such a lovely day. Thank you so much for coming on a Saturday afternoon. So we're here to lift the name of Frederick Douglass, and I am Tammy Tyree. I am the echo of our ancestors. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I've been in this kind of love affair with Frederick Douglass for about 3 years. That's a long time. Some people don't even stay married for 3 years, right? So, as a historian, I started researching Frederick Douglass because I got tired of seeing all these statues and schools and names and streets and everything, and I realized, I really don't know too much about this person. So when Obama was leaving office, I woke up one morning and I said, you know, we did kind of almost have a black president, and I felt it was Frederick Douglass. And so, and actually he was nominated. He got one vote for president at the Republican National Convention. So, you know, in another day, in another time, he probably could have really been it. But there are so many similarities between Frederick Douglass and Barack Obama, which I won't be going in today, but I wrote a whole journal about that. And there are some very definite similarities between the two of them. So anyway, I wanted to, if you really want to know about African American history, you have to start at the beginning, yes? So he kind of defined who an African American is and is not. So we're going to explore him today. We're going to pay tribute to him. But I'm essentially a singer and somebody with a really big gift of gab. They all know that, right? Okay, so I have a double major, yes, in communications. So we won't be. This is not school, you know what I mean? We ain't in school. This is not your mama's social studies class, okay? But we will be saying a few things about Frederick, but more importantly, we are going to be expressing our feelings about him through music, dance, tributes, and I'm so happy that you're along for this occasion. All right, I'm not talking anymore. Moore. Thank you, Athena. Athena Moore, part of the Frederick Douglass Continuum, and the director of the Northern Manhattan Office of Your Honor, Gail Brewer, who is here with us this morning, this afternoon. She is the best borough president. Sorry, Brooklyn. Sorry, Queens. We got the best borough president. She loves community, and she's here to speak with us. So I'm going to have Your Honor to come up and speak with us. Let's hear it for Gail Brewer.
And our wonderful founder, thank you very much, Tammy, for all that you do. It's really, really special. You know, there are so many performing artists who have spoken word and music and song and dance, but to bring them forward to participate with Frederick Douglass, that's what's special about today. We think of the craziness going on in the world, and we wish Frederick Douglass was here to guide us. But through Tammy and through Athena and through all of you, we are making that happen. And that's why it's so important to be here today, right, Virginia? Virginia Montgomery. So I am also excited, you know, we do allocate some funding in our office, and we're excited that the Manhattan Community Award Program grants is something that we were able to award. So with this event, Echoes of Our Ancestors, one of the ways that it takes place. I'm also really excited to be at Mother AME Zion. We know that you are the first African American congregation in our great city and state. Congratulations to the Reverend Chapel and Diane Chapel. We are all historians, but they are particular historians. This is a very special place to be celebrating. Obviously, the role of the church being a fierce opponent of slavery, a stop on the Underground Railroad, and then, of course, Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, Paul Robeson. There are no greater Americans than those three individuals. No greater. And they represent, of course, what we're talking about today. I think Paul Robeson is one of the greatest bringer of cultural ever in the history of the world. And Sojourner Truth brought history and compassion and all of her amazing leadership. We wouldn't have the vote if it wasn't for any of these. Next year we're celebrating. We would not have the vote. So we think about the words of Frederick Douglass, we'll hear more. And of course, in this insane climate, as I said earlier, all the issues of human rights and dignity that he stood up for. We just came from a discussion about how in the world is this country paying for private jails across the United States. This president is putting your bank money that you deposit, those banks are lending to private jails that are locking people up, not in the state of New York, but around the rest of the country, and it is one of those aspects that we have to stop. Frederick Douglass would have said the same from his great podium. So we're just here to say, as 2019 rolls along, whether it's through the arts or through the Renaissance next year, the Harlem Renaissance is also next year, another reason to be here today to make sure that we celebrate that. Thanks to Athena Moore and to Tammy, we're going to be doing that in the right way. All the wonderful festivals that take place in Harlem, but this is one that's special because it talks about the words and the meaning, and arts are wonderful, but it is particularly important when you're celebrating Frederick Douglass because of what he stood for. So I'm here to say whether it's the census, another challenge that we have to face in 2020, or whether it is the city charter, or whether it's just the human rights that we have to fight for, today is an important day in many ways other than what we're thinking, because there is so much at stake. And that's why another reason to be here. So I look forward to working with you on the issues that you care about. Goodness knows Frederick Douglass cared about, this church congregation cares about, and I look forward to the rest of the program to hear from the special artists, the speakers, the wonderful drummers and percussionists, and I want to thank you for including us on such a special celebration. Thank you, Madam Tammy Kyrie.
Isn't she the best? Let's hear it for Gail Brewer, Manhattan Borough President. I am really pleased to introduce to some of you and reacquaint others with a fabulous singer from Brooklyn. Is Brooklyn in the house? Yeah. So, I love community, so I really make it my business. I'm a cultural busybody. I go around and I meet people all over the place, and I know so many people, and every day I still feel like there's more people to know. And this is a wonderful singer that I know, and you have a beautiful program. I hope you like the program. And when you get a chance, you'll get to read the details about everybody. But right now, I'm just going to say that I give you Miss Beretha Reddy. With the troubles of the world, I'm going home to live. My Lord. With my Thank you. I gotta call my friends up for this one. Beretha, Lil. Oh, sinner, where you gonna run to? Oh, sinner, where you gonna hide? Oh, sinner, where you gonna run to? Where you gonna run to? Where you gonna hide? I went to the rock, and the rock cried out. I went to the sea, and the sea cried out. Went down to the water, thought that the sea could hide me. Where you gonna run to? Where you gonna run to? Run to? Where you gonna run to? Where you gonna hide? Where you gonna run to? Where you gonna hide? Where you gonna run to? Where you gonna hide? Run, 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 run. Jordan River was chilly and cold. It chilled my body, but not my soul.
Where you gonna hide?
Where you gonna hide?
Where you gonna hide? Where you gonna hide? Where you gonna hide?
While we're waiting and transitioning, I have the honor of just reminding you of who you just heard. Not only did she orchestrate, as has been said, this entire celebration, but she's the voice that you heard, the echo of our ancestors embodied in Tammy Tyree. Can we give her another round of applause? And we know that you will continue to hear from the voices of her sisters who will be joining her and accompanying her throughout, but it requires that we pay homage when folks are living and here. And so if you would give me the pleasure of reading just briefly some of Tammy's bio. It's not often that we are inclined to promote ourselves, but I have no reason to be without taking advantage of this occasion to tell you the multidisciplinary artist that she is, the performer whose talents and experiences not only include singing and teaching and writing and sketching, as anybody has seen, she even created a coloring book for children to bring Black history to our children through a sketchbook that we distributed recently. And she publicly speaks, produces live events, but she's also an independent scholar of African American history. And she is a Howard University graduate of theater and communications. And she's lectured in North Carolina. She's lectured around the country. She's published 3 journals. She's reflected on things like 12 Years a Slave. She's followed Frederick Douglass around the country, thinking about his life, from his marriage and his many loves to the land that he had and his legacy. And she doesn't let us ever forget that he was a multifaceted man, that he was complex and flawed and human, and that he was a gift to us all. But she also has been involved in initiatives like the Harlem Arts Alliance, and she has enabled her, this has enabled her to travel to places like Fisk University, the historic university, where she's worked to become a major archivist. And she's done musical productions, and she's a woman who continues to promote social justice and education reform. And she goes on to do many things that we only dream of doing in our lifetime. That she has been a collaborator with folks like Joyce Adewumi, who we love, and you'll hear from her and her African art chorus ensemble later today. But she also has been on the soundtrack for the Academy Award Best Picture of 12 Years a Slave. And she's done numerous things with jazz aficionados and the granddaughter of a gospel choir director. She is many things. She is gutsy blues and divine spirituals and hymns. She is jazz, she is swing, she is church on Sunday. She is Billie Holiday and she is Lady Day. But the yellow is not in her hair, it's in the wears of her skirt. Like Maya Angelou would say, she is a phenomenal woman. And we thank her and we salute her and we applaud her for holding on to this legacy and bringing our ancestors with us everywhere we go in Harlem and around the world. And we love you, Tammy Tyree. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the production continues.
Oh my goodness. What's that? That was so funny. Okay. Well, I am back to to my 4th grade class the following Monday after I was on there. One of the kids looked at me and said, "Hey, are you somebody famous?" So I was on there talking about this event, and I was so happy that they had invited me again. I was there when I was singing in the movie 12 Years a Slave. So that was back in 2014, but she invited me back. That was so nice. And this is kind of like a rekindling of a lot of relationships that I've had with different people. And so I said, "Well, D, is the talk?" I know at least 5,000 people watch it. They're just not here today. But yes, a lot of people watch her show, and she's been on for like 10 years. And she does just that. She talks to, it's on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, channel 34 and 33, right? Depending on whether you're on Spectrum or whether you're on, Verizon or Fios. So a lot of people watch it, and she is going to bring Sister Talk here right now. And she's going to interview 2 very important people, 2 historians who are going to talk. So without further ado, Deetra Kelsey.
Thank you so much. Isn't she lovely? She is so lovely. I know. And Stevie wrote it for you. Hey, again, let's give her one round of applause. Thank you for bringing Frederick Douglass back to life. And thank you, Dale Brewer. And she thank you for sponsoring this event. Thank you so much. I'm here to explore Frederick Douglass and ask questions about the relationship between Frederick Douglass and Mother Zion Church, and also Frederick Douglass in New York. But first, we're going to start with Diane Chappelle. Diane Chappelle is a visitor of Mother Zion, and also she's one of the historians for the church, correct? Yes, that's correct. Okay, here's the question I have for you is, when did Frederick Douglass join the church?
Well, we don't have an exact date that he was an actual member here when he joined, but he was very closely affiliated with the Mother Amy Zion Church. Historically, we are the oldest Black church in New York City, and when we first originated, our church was always a church of abolitionists and of writers and orators, and Frederick Douglass would have been well acquainted with the members of the founding fathers of the Amy Zion Church.
So that's why he joined, pretty much.
Yes.
Because you all were freedom fighters.
We said we was fighters. Yes, we were. We first started down on Church and Leonard, but before that we were part of the African Chapel, before we had our own physical structure at Church and Leonard. Then we moved to 10th and Legal, then uptown to 86th Street, and then into Harlem on 136th Street, and now this location that was designed by the first Black licensed architect.
They get married in the church. Anna, was she a member here first, or
That I'm not sure.
okay? Let's talk about Anna Murray Douglass. Anna, that was his first wife. She was a member here, and she pretty much helped him and still good.
Well, my understanding is that the church never, so it may not have been her. It would have been other people coordinating with her.
Okay.
There's a story too that we had one of the slaves had escaped, and the slave masters, or the bounty hunters, what you call them in those days, came looking for him to return him, and that was in the church down on Leonard Street, and they collected $835 that day to buy his freedom.
Well, he must have something else, very charismatic, very intelligent also. But he was ordained a minister here.
Yes, he was licensed by the Amy Zion Church.
Did he ever preach here?
Well, he preached or gave speeches here for sure. Not at this church. This church has only been here since 1924.
1924. So where were you all?
It would be down at the church on Leonard Street where we, that church was, there's a marker. If you go down to that area, there's a marker that's on the, it's on Church Street.
Oh, okay.
Church stood.
Okay. So,
It wasn't on that corner.
so let's talk a little bit about the church. I'm fascinated with the church, and I think Frederick Douglass was also, you know, of course, you all helped him escape and all that. Let's give a little bit of history of this church.
Well, as you know, the church, we were part of the church, down on John Street, and class 31, when they got totally dissatisfied with the treatment that they were receiving at that church, they decided that they would form their own congregation. Originally, they suffered a lot of indignities. What would happen when they first came, were part of John Street, they were able to worship in the sanctuary, and then as more white parishioners joined, they were pushed to the back, and then finally to the loft, where they had to go up to a ladder to get into to worship. When we had communion, they would not commune on the first Sunday, they would commune on the second Sunday. And that tradition we hold now. We always have communion at Mother Zion on the second Sunday, and that's a holdover from when we were at John Street.
So the people just kept pushing us back and that.
Because the Methodists and the Quakers were one of the early congregations that accepted black parishioners to join their church. And they were, they advocated against slavery. So many black persons came that were in the city, free and non-free, participated in that service of joining the Methodist denomination.
I didn't.
Yes, denomination. And then when we left John Street and formed our own congregation, we kept the Methodist way of their, what do you call it? Their organization, so that's why we're Methodist Episcopal, so we have bishops, and that's the same doctrine that we find that structure is in Methodist Church. We kept that, but we added the African because we wanted to make sure that it was for people of color.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Frederick Douglass, okay, if you were back alive back then, you see Frederick Douglass here, do you think he would have just sold out the crowd? Standing room only?
Of course, he was that great orator, and everybody wanted to hear him. And people, even the white people wanted to hear Frederick Douglass speak.
Like standing room only?
It would be standing room only. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so before you leave, what do you want people to know about AME, Mother Zion Church?
Oh my God, that we are still the Church of Freedom, the Freedom Church. We are known as the Freedom Church, and all of the benevolent societies that were formed to help the civil rights movement with Reverend King, we were always forefront in fighting for freedom.
How about the relationship with Frederick Douglass and Mother Zion?
Well, we had lots of freedom fighters. I mean, you had Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman. They were all connected to our denomination. So we have deep roots, and especially as being the abolitionists and for freedom rights and women's rights, right? Because one of the first ordained ministers was done in our church, Julia Foote. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I didn't know all this stuff. Thank you. So we have one more person. I had no idea until I talked to Diane about the relationship between Frederick Douglass and Mother Zion Church. All right. William, how you doing? William is professor of African American history at Lehman College. You're retired now. So I'm here to ask you about the relationship between Frederick Douglass and New York. Let's start off with New York City. I keep the mic.
When Frederick Douglass ran away in 1838, he came to New York City. The way he ran away was Anna Murray, who became his wife, was a free woman. She was born into freedom, and she had income from making clothes, sewing clothes. So she saved money, and he was able to have a sailor's uniform, because African American men work on the docks and he was able to get papers, because they had free papers. Allegedly, you couldn't be stopped, you know, if you wanted to take a train or a boat. So he escaped, came to New York, 1838. He stayed in the home of David Ruggles, who was involved with the Underground Railroad, and he lived briefly downtown, the area in.
Okay. Well, yeah, I bet people waited to see that.
That was the equivalent of back of the bus.
Okay, with the unveiling of the African burial ground, we saw that there were child slaves.
They were Chinese immigrants as being a threat to labor, similar to what we hear today. So he said Chinese should be here, should be welcomed, should become citizens. They can come, they're industrious, and they can add to the productivity of the United States.
We have I guess you could say, an immigration problem. If he was here today, what do you think he would say about that?
You know, tell Trump to go somewhere.
He was that bad, huh?
No, Frederick Douglass was a very direct person. He spoke out against injustice regardless of where it came from. So when he was in Rochester, I mean, he gave that famous speech that we should hear today about the 4th of July in reference to the enslaved person.
Okay.
And when he was in Rochester, he was there from 1847 until a fire destroyed his house in 1872. And while he was in Rochester, he started 2 papers, one the North Star, and he started, that was in the late 1840s, and then he started Frederick Douglass paper.
He lived in Haiti. He went to
Haiti as a diplomat in 1889 for about 2 years. He represented the United States.
What do you want people to know about Frederick Douglass?
He understood the United States Constitution. He felt that both could be supporters in the fight for freedom. He spoke out. He was the only man to speak out in favor of women's suffrage when they had in Seneca Falls.
A lot of women supported him.
And he supported women in the suffrage, right women to have the vote, which they didn't get until 1920 in terms of the nation. And he spoke out against child labor. He spoke in favor of unions at a time when the unions were discriminatory. So he was a freedom fighter across the board.
Okay, we're going to end this, but I do have to acknowledge Anna Murray Douglass again. If he was alive, and what would he say about his wife?
It was like most women, she took care of the house, and also she took care of raising the children, because he was gone. He traveled about half of the year, giving speeches throughout the country. And then, so she had to raise the children. She had 5 children. One died at age 10, Annie, and she had 3 sons. 2 of the sons fought in the Civil War.
She was an entrepreneur. Okay, if Frederick Douglass, okay, what would Frederick Douglass say about his wife? If it wasn't for my wife, Anna Murray.
I might still spend my life in slavery.
That's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted you to say. Thank you so much.
Please look down and see my people through. Lord, pass the day. Often we feel weary, but he knows our every care. Go to him in secret, he will hear your every prayer. He'll give peace and comfort to every troubled mind. Come Sunday, oh come Sunday, come Sunday, oh come Sunday, come Sunday, oh come Sunday. That's the day.
Bertha Hope, we are going to hear from Bertha Hope. You know, Bertha Hope is doing me a favor right now. Bertha Hope is a world-renowned, okay, world-renowned jazz woman who is accompanying us. But she is such a force in her own right. You know, so I wrote about Bertha, and so you're going to read about Bertha. But we're going to call on Bertha to do her own thing because Bertha is not a side person. Bertha is the leader, okay? So, I know Bertha Hope from the 1980s when I was an aspiring jazz singer. And I grew up in Long Island. And I was still living in Long Island. And I was coming into New York City to study jazz. And I joined the Universal Jazz Coalition. And there was Bertha Hope. And she was at that time playing for the Universal Jazz Coalition, along with people like Carleen Ray. I don't know if you know Carleen Ray. I studied under Carleen Ray, Amina Claudine Myers, and I have not worked with Bertha in 40 years. So we came together for something that I had to do that she pitched in because my main person, and he said, oh, I've got this great person I'm going to refer you to. And lo and behold, it was Bertha Hope. So that's why I say this is kind of a reunion of musical people that I know. And even Lil, I know Lil for a very long time. We did some big band work together, right, Lil? It was at, I don't know, early 90s. So we will hear from Bertha Hope in her own language, whatever she desires to play. And I don't even know what's next on my program. Can somebody tell me what's next? Okay. You know, I can't remember everything, you know. Okay, so anyway, the African Chorus Ensemble is not here just yet.
typical violin piece, and he really turned it up a couple notches and really made something fantastic out of it. So I'll be playing one of those, and then my second piece will be one of my compositions, titled Tone Poem Number 1, affectionately. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'll start with the 87.
years, but it'll connect us back because we came from water. The songs that we are about to sing tonight this afternoon, has to do with water. And the song, first one is a prayer that our pains will be wiped away. Because water can carry away a man, a full-grown man, but water has no legs. Water can carry away a big tree, but water has no arms. The deity of water, I'm asking to carry away our problems. Take it to God, Eledumare. Those of us who are without jobs, those of us who need healing, those of us who just need a word, those of us who need to be reconnected, whatever problem it is that we have in our life, we are praying that be carried away. Omi o lapa mi begi, omi o lẹ́sẹ̀ ọgbẹ́yìn lọ, gbogbo ìṣòro ayé wa, omi wa bá wa gbé wa lọ. African music is mostly inspirational. It's about prayers. Yes, this is one of our mothers there. Am I right or wrong? We're always connecting with the divine because we understand that there's nothing that we can do without those who are greater than us, without God, without our guiding spirits. Again, it's another song about taking away our problems. Okay? But we work because we understand that character is very important. You cannot destroy.
And I did that. And I brought back their music too, but I was there for the music of Thomas A. Dorsey. And from 2010 to about 2014,
if in a crowd in my home, on the street or all alone, I've got to live the life, got to live the life I sing about in my song. Every day, every hour, I've got to feel His holy power. Some may spot me, you may watch me, they'll say that I'm foolish, but I don't mind. I can't go to church, shout all day Sunday, run around acting a fool, getting high on Monday. I got to live the life, got to live the life I sing about in my song. Yeah, yeah, in my song. Every day, every hour, I got to feel His holy power. You know you underrate me, definitely understate me. You say that I'm foolish, but I don't mind. I can't go to church, shout on Sunday, run around acting a fool, getting high on Monday. I got to live the life, got to live the life I sing about. In my soul, in my soul. Hey, yeah! Some church in here. Everybody say yeah!
Amen, my sister.
Solid story. I was just going to say that I'm going to play for you a song that was given to me by the Creator after I took a group of people in a nightclub outside to see a lunar eclipse, and the proprietor thought I was out of my mind. I was walking off my job, And I asked him, this is a lunar eclipse. This doesn't happen often, and it'll be over in about 20 minutes. Can I bring the people outside to see it? I want to see it. He said no. So I asked the people, I want to see a lunar eclipse. Do you want to see one? Will you come out with me and come back into the club and pay your bill? And the people said yes. So this song was given to me. I just heard a voice that said, oh, it's beautiful that you did that, Bertha. I'm gonna give you something. So get a pencil, because I'm gonna give it to you quick. And I'm only giving it to you once. So I grabbed a pencil in the backseat of a taxi, and this is how it came out. Also the title, I'm not Latin that I know of, but the title is Luna Negra, and this is the song.
religion down. Now ain't gonna lay my religion down. Citizens, pardon me and allow me to ask why I am called upon to speak here today. What have I, or those I represent, to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and of natural justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us? And am I, therefore, called upon to bring and call upon him to join you in joyous anthems or inhuman mockery and asking me to speak today? If there is a parallel to your conduct, and let me warn you that it is dangerous to copy the example of a nation, Babylon, whose crimes, towering up to the heavens, were thrown down by the breath of the Almighty, burying that nation in irrecoverable ruin. False to the present, and solemnly binds yourself to be false in the future. Standing with God and the crushed and bleeding slave on this occasion, I will, in the name of humanity, which is outraged, in the name of liberty, which is fettered, in the name of the Constitution and the Bible, which are disregarded and trampled upon, dare to call in question and to denounce with all the emphasis I can command everything that serves to perpetuate slavery, the great sin and shame of America. I will not equivocate. I will use the severest language I can command, and yet not one word shall escape me, that any man whose judgment is not blinded by prejudice, or who is not at heart a slave whole, shall not mechanical tools, erecting houses, constructing bridges, building ships, working in metals of brass, iron, copper, silver, and gold, that while we are reading, writing, and ciphering, acting as clerks, merchants, secretaries, having among us lawyers, doctors, ministers, poets, authors, editors, orators, and teachers, that we are engaged in all the enterprises common to other men, digging gold in California, capturing the whale in the Pacific, feeding the sheep and the cattle on the hillside, living, moving, acting, thriving, thinking, planning, living in families as husbands, wives, children, and above all, confessing and worshiping in the Christian God are men? Would you have me argue that a man is entitled to liberty, that he is the rightful owner of his own body? You have already declared it. Must I argue the wrongfulness of slavery? Is that a question for Republicans? Is it to be settled by the rules of logic and argumentation as a matter beset with great difficulty, involving a doubtful application of the principle of justice, hard to understand? How should I look today in the presence of America dividing and subdividing a discourse to show that men have a natural right to freedom, speaking of it relatively and positively, negatively and affirmatively? To do so would make myself ridiculous and to offer an insult to your understanding. There is not a man beneath the capacity of heaven who does not know that slavery is wrong for him. What argument is needed? Oh, had I the ability and could I reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blaspheming reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed. And its crimes against God and man must be denounced. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days of the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. Your boasted liberty and unholy license, your national greatness, swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mock. Your prayers, your hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception,
this end of our program. And I'm really filled. My heart is full. All the wonderful people, including you who came out today. I want to thank you again. I want to thank Dr. Sorrell. I want to thank Deidre Kelsey. I want to thank Will Phillips, Aretha Rennie. The New York African Chorus had another engagement. I want to thank them. Athena Moore. Thank you, and thank you. And I'm going to ask Jonathan, Lil, and Baretha to come forward, please. A good time, good feeling song. Old time religion. All right, so let's see now. We're gonna start that. Oh, you know what? Let's use this one. And you know what? If there are any other singers in the audience here who are so inclined, come on up with us. All right. Let's get low. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Come on, come on. I need some clap. Oh, no, Harlem. Bam. 1, 2, 1, 2. Come on. 1, 2. No, Harlem. No, we clap on the 2. Let's go. Oh, when the saints go marching in, oh, when the saints go marching in, oh Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in, oh, when they cry, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh, when they cry. Oh,
Tammy, just look this way one time. Beautiful. I enjoyed myself. Deetra, could you get one with you and Tammy?
Yeah.
Frederick Douglass? Frederick Douglass?
Yes, we need pictures. Oh, wait.
This way, please. One this way. Deetra, switch places with Tammy, please.
Okay.
I'm still holding a microphone. Do you want me still holding a microphone?
Yes. It's your thing. You want me to take it?
Okay. And one from over here, and we done.
Turn.
No, right here. Okay, stand by. Great.